This is CBC Vancouver News.
We don't want this party to become a top-down NDP-style regime.
BC Conservatives gather in Nanaimo for their annual general meeting amid simmering divisions among some members. Also,
these conflicts are on a lot of people's mind, and for us, this is a time for us to pray for peace and also to foster dialogue.
how Muslims across BC are marking the beginning of Ramadan amid a fragile ceasefire deal in the Middle East. And
we cannot rule out the fact that they are inside or outside the residence.
one person remains unaccounted for following an explosion and massive house fire in Langley as investigators work to determine a cause. Hello, thanks for joining us. I'm Janella Hamilton. Hundreds of BC Conservative members gathered in Nanaimo today to determine the direction of a party that within a year went from the political wilderness to the official opposition. As Katie DeRosa reports, despite the meteoric rise, some party members are still critical of John Rustad's leadership.
Hundreds of BC Conservative members packed into this conference room Saturday for their annual general meeting. The event held in Nanaimo, a provincial NDP stronghold, which one Conservative described as...
It's one of the wokest, most hostile ridings in the province.
The goal of the meeting is to set the direction of the upstart party, which has gone from capturing 2% of the vote in 2020 to coming within 3 seats of toppling the governing New Democrats. Despite that historic rise, the meeting exposed divisions between the right-leaning flank of the party and centrists who joined following the collapse of BC United, the former BC Liberals. Some members are unhappy with John Rustad's leadership, claiming he's watered down Conservative values.
A number of you are concerned that we don't want this party to become a top-down NDP-style regime where a small group of people with their circle of friends run it for everybody else.
The party's president, Aisha Esti, held on to her position amid a challenge from 4 other members.
The difference between myself and the others is that under mine and John Rustad's leadership, the party went from 2% to 44 MLAs.
The party also voted on several policy resolutions, voting to repeal the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People and doubling down on the party's opposition to the province's sexual orientation and gender identity policy in schools, or SOGI. One Nanaimo-based NDP MLA slammed the party for barely touching on their response to U.S. President Donald Trump's tariff threat.
To see the focus here on COVID conspiracies and picking on vulnerable kids instead of fighting Trump and the tariffs.
As for the divisions within the party, Rustad chalked it up to growing pains in a big tent party.
If everybody was all coming forward and singing Kumbaya and all the same, then you're not a true party. You're certainly not a broad enough base party to be able to govern in this province.
The BC Conservatives will hold a leadership review this year, likely in the fall, where members will vote on whether or not to have a full leadership race. That gives party members another chance to have their say on whether they're happy with John Rustad. Katie DeRosa, CBC News, Nanaimo.
The fallout continues one day after that heated exchange between U.S. President Trump and Ukrainian President Zelenskyy at the White House. While Republicans are backing their leader and criticizing Zelenskyy, other Western allies are showing their support for Ukraine. Richard Bannon has the latest from Washington.
Can a deal be salvaged?
One day after the diplomatic disaster in Washington, Ukraine President Vladimir Zelenskyy is now in London and getting a much different welcome from British Prime Minister Keir Starmer.
You have full backing across the United Kingdom, and we stand with you, with Ukraine, for as long as it may take.
Zelenskyy has been invited to meet King Charles and attend Sunday's European Defense Summit, where Ukraine's security and how to end its war against Russia has become the urgent new focus.
We're happy and we count on your support, and really, we're really happy that we have such partners and such friends.
This is in stark contrast to Friday's shocking blowout between Zelenskyy and President Donald Trump in the Oval Office.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
Zelenskyy was berated by Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance, accused of being ungrateful, greedy, and unwilling to accept a peace deal.
Have you said thank you once this entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you?
Zelenskyy argued Ukraine needs U.S. security guarantees because Russia can't be trusted to honor a ceasefire.
I want a ceasefire.
With guarantees.
Because
While that shocking exchange is playing well with Trump's political base, it's rattled Europe and Western allies. Some Democrats believe it was a setup.
It was a planned ambush designed to embarrass President Zelenskyy in order to benefit Vladimir Putin. That was an embarrassment. That was an abomination.
The Trump administration denies it, but confirms Zelenskyy was booted from the White House. The two leaders were supposed to sign a critical minerals deal, viewed as the first steps toward a ceasefire, but Trump scrapped it, blaming Zelenskyy's attitude.
His ambassador and his advisor were practically, I mean, they were practically in tears, wanting this to move forward. But Zelenskyy was still argumentative.
As the U.S. steps back from a leadership role in Ukraine, several European countries are being forced to step up, boosting defense spending and committing to sending troops and fighter jets to Ukraine as added security guarantees should a ceasefire be reached. Richard Madden, CBC News, Washington.
Thousands of Muslims in BC mark the beginning of the holy month of Ramadan today. Traditionally, it's a time of fasting, prayer, and self-reflection. And as Saurabh Sandhu reports, this year it also comes with some uncertainty amid a fragile ceasefire deal in the Middle East.
Marihan Abdul Hamid and her husband Mohammed Qasim are shopping for an ingredient to prepare a special dessert which they will have after breaking their fast on the first day of Ramadan.
I think doing some dessert after iftar, especially in Ramadan, like kunafa and
make you happy. The couple says fasting helps them rejuvenate and is an act of worship during Ramadan. It is a time of reflection, gratitude, and an opportunity to give back to those who need it most.
You are feeling the poor, you are trying to stop doing something like haram stuff. So everyone to how to control yourself.
How to be kind.
During Ramadan, many Muslims observe a fast from dawn until dusk. At Jasmine Foods in Vancouver, Mohammed Mohadli says food plays a key role in the cultural and religious practices of the holy month, making it a busy time for local halal grocers.
The whole month is like, we can say double business.
He says reconnecting and spending quality time with family is often done so through shared meals.
Like people together, like family, friend, like open heart, you know what I mean? So there's so many things meaning for Ramadan.
Here at Al Jamia Mosque in Vancouver, hundreds gather for the evening iftar, a meal to break the fast after sunset.
It's an important moment because, after fasting all day, coming together with people from all different walks of life, different backgrounds, who share the same faith, is an incredibly powerful thing.
You have conflicts in Ukraine. You have conflicts in Palestine, Israel. You have conflicts everywhere, and these conflicts are on a lot of people's mind. And for us, this is a time for us to pray for peace and also to foster dialogue.
He says in recent years, Ramadan has served as a reminder of the ongoing tensions in the Middle East. And this year, it comes with some uncertainty amid a fragile ceasefire deal. Saurabh Sandhu, CBC News, Vancouver.
Mounties say one person is still unaccounted for after a house explosion and fire in Langley Friday morning.
We are exhausting all our options, and at this point in time, we have not been able to locate this person. Everything is on the table at this time. We cannot rule out the fact that they are inside or outside the residence.
2 people were also sent to hospital with critical injuries. There is no word yet on what may have caused the explosion, but police say investigators were on scene for the majority of today, combing through debris. The fire spread and caused significant damage to other nearby homes, prompting an evacuation of the area. Some residents have since been allowed to return home. March is Women's Health Research Month, and the BC Women's Health Foundation is launching a new educational website for postpartum support. Experts say the portal could potentially be life-saving.
There aren't a lot of resources, especially for women's mental health, and postpartum depression is another one that there isn't a lot of support for. New moms need support. I think anyone who is a mom or knows a mom knows that that time can be a really difficult one, and it can be really challenging.
The site also offers British Columbians evidence-based information and resources, as well as a mood and anxiety tracker for people to monitor their postpartum experience. Wesson says women's health initiatives are chronically underfunded in Canada. She says women make up more than 50% of the country's population, but less than 6% of national health research funding is dedicated to the area of study. People across BC are plunging into cold water for a good cause. The annual events raise money for Special Olympics BC, and as Corey Bullock tells us, this year's funds will support athletes with intellectual disabilities who are headed to Italy to compete at the World Winter Games next month.
Dozens of local law enforcement professionals braved the cold water plunge today in support of Special Olympics athletes.
It makes it possible for the Olympians to train, to travel, and we have some really, really good ones in Kimberley and Cranbrook. They're amazing.
In just a few days, 3 Cranbrook athletes will represent Canada on the world stage in Italy for the Special Olympic World Winter Games. Aaron Tom, Jesse Jensen, and Lane Benoit will compete in alpine and cross-country events. A dream come true for some.
It makes me feel achieved, and it was part of one of my dreams to be in the World Games and compete with a bunch of people all around the world and just be worldwide, travel, and have fun.
Athletes won't be traveling with their parents or guardians, but rather their coaches. But parent Crystal Meyer says that's all part of the experience.
As a parent of a medically complex child, I have never had any second doubt about sending my child with them without me to be present.
As of Saturday afternoon, the event had already surpassed its $3,000 fundraising goal. And Shun says it's the best attendance they've had in the 4 years of running the event, thanks in part to the spring-like weather.
We are all hard-necked and really tough, and so we jump no matter the weather, but we have way more people coming and hanging out with us. And for me, it's about community. So yes, it may look a little easier on us. The water is sure cold enough though, but we get the community to stick together, hang out, get to know each other, and that to me is way more important.
Athletes compete in Italy March 8th to 15th. And the 2025 Special Olympic Provincial Summer Games take place in Prince George in July. Corey Bullock, CBC News, Cranbrook.
The annual Hobier celebration in Vancouver, marking the Nisga'a New Year, wraps up tonight. Our Santana Drever was there on day 1, learning more about the event's significance for those who take part.
Come along with me to the annual Nisga'a New Year celebration, Hobier, here at the P&E Forum in Vancouver. What does Hobier mean to you as a Nisga'a person?
Hobier, it's the start of a brand new year. Like, we're celebrating the return of the Ulakin in our Nass River, right? That's the first harvest after the long winter months. And so that's how we distinguished what the new year was, right? And we based it all off of the stars and the moons in the sky. And actually, like, that's why I designed. Hobier is when the moon is shaped like a crescent in the sky, and then you see the North Star there. Our ancestors, when they would look to the sky and they would see it, you know, they would be like so excited, and then they all started like running out and Hobier, and then, you know, like it became a celebration and people were dancing.
energy here now, and people just love being here. They love celebrating. They love having somewhere to come and just be who they are, celebrating themselves no matter where they come from, no matter what Indigenous community or non-Indigenous community. We have a lot of supporters that are here with us always.
This is Hobie 8 Amex edition. Our main Hobie is up in the Nisga'a lands, which happened a week back, February 20th, in Kitlak Amex. It's a great 2 days. It's a large event. It's growing, and we're discussing adding another day and more dance groups.
What do you think about Hobie?
It's good, and it helps me learn more about my culture. It just feels great to be here and around a bunch of natives and just be supported.
A day after President Zelenskyy sat across from President Trump in that heated Oval Office exchange, Ukrainians in Canada say they're feeling an alarming sense of unease for their country's future. That's next. A hostile meeting yesterday between Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy and U.S. President Donald Trump in the Oval Office is sending shockwaves around the world. Ukrainians in Canada say they're disturbed about what it might signal for their country's future. Nicole Williams reports.
Several newcomers from Ukraine have found safety and comfort at this Toronto restaurant. But now, a growing unease.
Everyone is in a state of shock. Like, how do you even digest that? How do you compute? What it will happen? Like, right now, it's just shock.
Wait a minute. No. You've done a lot of talking.
Friday's meeting between President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, President Donald Trump, and Vice President J.D. Vance can only be described as a diplomatic disaster. And left in its wake is outrage around the world and here at home.
I think Trump, he's not worried about peace.
They have lost thousands of people, and his actions, his words, his tone, and his demeanor was a complete disgrace and disrespect to the Ukrainian president and the Ukrainian people.
It's been 3 years since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. For many in Canada, it's been painful to watch from afar, and some say the way Zelenskyy was treated at the White House marks a disturbing shift in who Ukraine can consider its allies.
The morale will be immediately impacted on the front lines, and this directly impacts the lives of every single Ukrainian living in Ukraine right now.
In spite of the growing unease about where things stand with what was the country's most powerful ally, the meeting has also ushered in a wave of support for Zelenskyy and his response to Trump.
Ukraine has been underestimated from the very beginning. President Trump said it there. If it wasn't for us, you'd be gone in 3 days. That's what everyone said. If not 3 days, in 3 weeks. That didn't happen.
With the Ukraine-U.S. relationship at an all-time low, people here say Canada's support matters now more than ever for any chance at lasting peace there. Nicole Williams, CBC News, Toronto.
The Vatican says Pope Francis had a peaceful night after another health scare. Francis has now spent 2 weeks in hospital. On Friday, the Pope suffered a coughing fit that included a vomiting episode that impacted his breathing, a setback in his 2-week-long battle against double pneumonia. Francis had solid food for breakfast and has resumed respiratory physiotherapy. Officials still stress, though, he's not yet out of danger. Here we have a live shot of BC Place in Science World lit up in yellow tonight for Endometriosis Awareness Month. It looks like a relatively clear night, and I'll have your full forecast coming up next.
This is Vancouver is a new CBC podcast where we explore the issues, the stories, and the people that make this place home. Listen to This is Vancouver wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, it is time now to take a look at your BC-wide forecast for this weekend. Let's begin with a quick peek at temperatures around the province tonight. Snow flurries expected in Dease Lake with a -3 overnight, 1 in both Kelowna and Kamloops, and relatively clear skies. Over on the island, 6 and 7 in Tofino with some rain. Heading into tomorrow, sun and cloud for Fort St. John, a high of 7 for tomorrow. Snow flurries in Williams Lake with a high of 5. Much warmer in Kamloops with 11. Similar conditions, sun and clouds in Kelowna with a high of 10 for tomorrow. And on the island, 9 degrees in Victoria is your expected high with some scattered showers throughout the day. Heading into our 5-day forecast in Metro Vancouver, we are going to see some scattered showers throughout tomorrow with a high of 10. Heading into those double digits a bit higher in those double digits for Monday with a 30% chance of rain on both Monday and Tuesday. That's going to clear out for Wednesday, but it looks like that rain will return later this week. BC's largest outdoor adventure and travel show is taking place at the Vancouver Convention Centre this weekend, and organizers say this year more people are choosing to travel locally.
We do have some partners here from the United States as well. However, what we are finding, even in our shows across the country, is that there is a real push for Canadian adventure destinations who I think are really going to benefit from people who want to stay within Canada.
From travel tips and destination ideas to all the gear you may need for outdoor activities around the world, there are more than 300 exhibitors and travel guides. Nature Kids BC hosted a native species scavenger hunt at Trout Lake today. Take a look.
Nature Kids is a charitable organization. Our goal is to connect children across British Columbia with nature at such a deep level that serves them all their life.
Today we got together for a scavenger hunt. The unique thing about Nature Kids is that it's for families. Everyone's learning the same things together, helping families to work together to not only appreciate nature but protect it.
We do a lot of birding.
Kids love birds.
I had no idea there were over 100 species here in Trout Lake alone. We exist because of the generosity of our communities that really want to create this connection between children and families. Kids are happier, the kids are healthier, the kids are smarter, less screen time, more green time.
It was a beautiful day for some exploring outdoors. That is your late news for this Saturday, March 1st. Thanks so much for watching. To keep up to date with all the latest news, head to our website at cbc.ca/bc. We'll see you tomorrow.